I'm fat, but I eat healthy.
I'm fat, but I'm not a glutton.
I'm fat, but I actually like going to the gym.
But I like to take the stairs.
But I'm a runner.
But I'm not lazy.
But I don't eat McDonald's every day.
And I eat less than my skinny guy friends. Metabolism is a bitch.
Me when I lie. Not to say I'm some kind of master lie detector, but just looking at these people and listening to how they're talking, I can tell that a lot of them are probably lying. Then again, it's not like BuzzFeed has ever been known for its truthfulness. Their whole vibe and business model has basically been, what can we do to get the most attention, controversy, and money? Honestly, that sounds like a lot of popular streamers nowadays.
Allow me to give you a lesson in manipulating statistics. I eat less than my skinny guy friends. Metabolism is a bitch. Someone might think, hey, that's so unfair. She eats less than skinny people, but she's still overweight. That's not what she said. She said that she eats less than her skinny guy friends. 1. Men have a higher metabolism than women. Welcome to science. 2. She could be 5'1", and her skinny guy friends could be 6'3". So of course they can eat more than you. This is not about her having a slow metabolism, but that's how you manipulate people. Do I believe that she actually eats less than her skinny guy friends? No. At her size, unless she is really short, she definitely eats more than the average skinny guy. Obesity is an addiction, and addicts lie all the time. Sure, she might go out to eat with her friends and order a salad.
Also, she's ordering that salad absolutely drenched in ranch. One thing that's important to understand whenever you're dealing with addiction is that addicts lie. It's not unique to food addiction either. People can become addicted to food, alcohol, cigarettes, gambling, illegal drugs, prescription drugs, adult content, social media, caffeine, shopping, shoplifting, you name it. Addiction has a way of making people justify things that they otherwise wouldn't.
But on the drive home, when no one is watching, she is ordering 5 cheeseburgers from McDonald's. News corporations like
BuzzFeed should not be legally allowed to call itself news. How is this even allowed? Actually, never mind. I remembered what the rest of our news networks are like, which, yeah. Which Power Ranger are you? Take this quirky quiz. Obama sent the immigrants to vaccinate your kids. Could I interest you in everything all of the time? A little bit of everything all of the time. Apathy is a tragedy and boredom is a crime. Anything and everything all of the time.
who promote fat acceptance always want you to believe that being overweight is just bad luck or bad genetics. Look, all these people eat is half a sandwich with an avocado and a tomato. They eat less than you do. No, they don't. Allow me to show you a picture from a Dr. Phil video where he goes over just how much a morbidly obese person eats who is not that much bigger than these people who claim they only eat half a sandwich and are still overweight. We have 4 to 5 donuts, a 7-egg omelet with a cup and a half of cheese, a full bell pepper, a full onion, and a full package of ham inside of it, 4 potatoes worth of hash browns with a second full pepper and onion, 4 corn dogs dipped in nacho cheese, a full-size bag of potato chips, a few strawberries, 3 sandwiches with ham, cheese, mayo, tomato, cucumber, avocado, croutons, bacon bits, and ranch, a large pepperoni pizza, 2 bowls of ice cream with caramel and whipped cream, a hand-sized bag of M&Ms, 2 bacon cheeseburgers, 1 box of mac and cheese and 3 bananas, 6 avocados, 1 full-size bag of tortilla chips, 10 fish tacos with rice and beans, a full box of honey buns, a full box of Hot Pocket loaded potatoes, a bag of pepperoni, 1 gallon of sweet tea, and 6 candy bars.
Wow, that's a ridiculous amount of food. I genuinely think that's as much food as I eat in a week. With food prices nowadays, I can't imagine how anyone could even afford this. Like, how much would that cost? I'd assume that's a couple $100s worth of food. I go grocery shopping, and I barely buy anything and somehow spend $300. How is somebody affording to eat like this? I know they have their enablers, but still.
My God, this woman eats more calories for breakfast than I eat in 2 or 3 days. Not to say that every obese person eats that much, but certainly they aren't eating salad all day and doing 3-hour workouts.
I'm fat, but I'm not glorifying obesity.
You are an obese person who is literally saying a bunch of positive things about obesity to upbeat music and in a light-colored background with a halo pattern in the center. How are you not glorifying obesity?
I'm fat and I look really good naked. There's been no complaints, let me tell you.
Remember, she is not glorifying obesity. Let me change the words around a little bit. I'm a heroin addict, but I'm not glorifying heroin. I'm a heroin addict, but I'm sexy. I'm a heroin addict, but I'm motivated. If I can switch to a different addiction and suddenly there's a problem with everything they're saying, then food addiction is not okay.
I'm a heroin addict, but I'm not glorifying heroin. When you swap the addiction, suddenly the emotional reaction changes. It's similar to how people react depending on who's involved in a situation. For example, when a female teacher abuses a male student, some people minimize it or even joke about it. Reverse the genders, and suddenly everybody understands how serious it is. If your argument completely falls apart when you swapped the variables, then maybe it wasn't a very strong argument to begin with.
I'm fat, but I'm not a skinny shamer. I just feel like everyone is allowed to love their bodies. Don't think that me being proud of my body means that I'm putting down yours.
What exactly do you have to be proud of? Obesity is a disease. Being overweight is not an accomplishment. Also, BuzzFeed saying that these feminists don't shame people for being thin is ridiculous. What about the fitness mom, Maria Kang? What about the "Are you beach body ready?" weight loss ad? What about the Peloton bike chick? These fat acceptance activists never miss a chance to shame a thin woman who is proud of being thin. And let's be clear, when it comes to fat acceptance, I'm talking about women. I understand that there are men in the original video, but nobody cares about a man being fat. Where are all you feminists shouting about how male fitness models create an unrealistic body image for men to uphold?
Can we talk about the whole women love giant muscular men thing? Most women aren't even attracted to those extreme bodybuilding physiques. The muscle man aesthetic is mostly for men, and sometimes just for the gay male gaze. We know what the women like. Their book talk. Eee!
Or how about this? I went to a local Target store a few months ago, and I just so happened to notice that the female clothes section was full of plus-size models mixed in with thin models. However, when I went to the men's section of the store, all of the models were fit and muscular. Not one of them was fat or obese. Try this at your local clothes store.
Now, I haven't really seen many male plus-size models either, or mannequins in the store. Outside of specialty stores like big and tall clothing stores, it's very uncommon. Speaking of stores, when he brings up Target, I have to talk about my local Target. Ever since they reorganized everything, finding clothes has been a nightmare. Remember back in, I can't remember what year it was, but they made the switch to being less gendered with their clothes, and it's really just broken the entire Target. I don't know if it's just my Target. I'd imagine it's more of them. But it's genuinely difficult to tell the difference where the kids section ends and the women's section begins because they're like combined. And don't even get me started on the clearance section. Men's clothes, women's clothes, kids' clothes, everything is mixed together and overflowing on the racks, with clothes falling onto the floor. You touch one thing to look at it, and then a mountain of 15 items fall on you. It's crazy. My Target has basically become a Ross.
I walked into Ross. I thought a bomb went off at this store. Everything's on the floor. What, are they pulling stuff off the shelf? This is not my size. So I'm in the store shopping. I found a pair in housewares, stamped irregular. Anybody looking at irregular clothes? You see irregular, you gotta lay them out. You gotta find out what the hell happened. Why are these $1? Because originally $175. I went to go try them on. I went to go get the zipper, the button, all this stuff wasn't even here.
Actually, this also reminds me of the crazy stuff happening at Goodwill lately. I've seen videos showing some absolutely insane things being sold there.
Everything is so expensive right now, but at Goodwill, you'll find unique products that are worth every bit of your hard-earned cash, like a Priano pasta jar wrapped in plastic, includes the lid and the nutrition facts. A vintage caricature drawing of John from the year 2000. An open container of utterly smooth body cream. You won't have to waste any time removing that annoying protective seal. Frank Berman's Rookie of the Year bowling plaque from 1988. The 2025 Rats calendar. You can use it again in 2031. Robert Krull's third place award from a mathematics competition. Sarah's custom bridesmaid cup. This rare copy of the classic film The Blob on a Memorex DVD-R. The mug from the 2024 Burrell family reunion. And finally, we have a stick of unscented native deodorant that has already seen some action. Which of these amazing items will you be rushing off to buy? Let me know in the comments.
Including open containers of items that should never have made it onto shelves. One thing that really concerns me is people reselling old pasta sauce jars as storage containers. Those jars were designed for single use and aren't necessarily safe to reuse the way people think they are. Honestly, it feels like inmates are running the asylum at some of these stores.
I have been to plenty of them, and I have never seen an obese model in the male section. We know that fat acceptance is about fat women, not fat people.
Excuse me, that woman is not fat. That is a beautiful, voluptuous woman. There's a massive difference between being slightly overweight and being morbidly obese. Let's not shame the hot, sexy ladies out there who are just a little thicker. He's crossing the line for me with this example because you get it.
Most of the people in these fat acceptance promos are women. Most of the people getting mad are women. And I defy you to find a male activist group who shames a thin woman for portraying unrealistic standards of beauty like the feminist groups do. I don't see any male activist groups shaming other men for being thin either. Feminists keep trying to push the idea that obesity is sexy. That's because they know it's unattractive and men don't shovel a bunch of free stuff in front of unattractive women. That's what this is all about. Jealousy and resources. Being obese is not sexy. Tell me, is this sexy?
Okay. Let's see. And I am forever out of breath. It's just my natural state of being, regardless of what I do. I sat here for like 5 minutes before I turned the camera on, and I'm still out of breath.
This woman's body fat puts so much pressure on her lungs that she can't breathe even when she's not doing anything physically difficult. That's attractive and she should be proud of that? How about this woman? This is Tammy Slayton from TLC's 1,000 Pound Sisters. By her early 30s, she was so overweight that she was confined to a walker until she started exercising for the show. What is healthy or sexy about that?
I'm not obese. I'm a plus-size, curvy lady.
Say it however you want. It doesn't change the reality of your situation. But certainly, someone must be the voice of reason here. Let's watch.
What is the most effective way that people can lose weight, in your experience as a doctor?
Right. One of the things...
Eat less food, do more exercise.
No, you were talking... Can we hear from the medical professional in the room?
Oh, every time these women hear something they don't like, they all erupt at once. Nobody listens, nobody waits their turn. It's just a wall of noise. They remind me of a flock of seagulls all screaming over each other.
Dr. Pierce?
Am I wrong, Miriam? Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
Doesn't it really just boil down to
shush,
better,
just for a moment.
healthy
No,
eating, less food down your gullet, and do some more exercise?
My God, the outrage of telling a bunch of obese women to eat less is unbelievable. Despite the fact that Piers so rudely talked over the female doctor, he's correct. If you want to lose weight, then you need to eat less. However, it's not entirely that simple. Weight loss does come down to calories, but for people who are obese, calories are not the root cause of the problem. Until the root cause is resolved, they will never be able to control how much they eat. The reality is that if someone is obese or morbidly obese, then they have psychological problems that are causing them to overeat. Here's how bad it can be. This next clip is with Boogie2988 on the H3H3 podcast, talking about someone who had just recently undergone gastric bypass surgery.
Boogie spotted! Oh no, I watched a Turkey Tom video about Boogie a while back. It was a long one though. This video was filmed before some of his really wild controversies had happened, but if you know, you know. And if you don't know, the Turkey Tom videos are worth watching. Just be prepared. They're usually really long. The Boogie ones, some of those are like 4 hours long, so I suggest breaking it up. That's how I watch them.
One guy in my area, I don't want to dox him, but you're never allowed to smoke again, because if you do, you can perforate the surgical scars in your stomach.
Wow.
And so
he was a smoker
right,
before.
he started smoking again at the 6-month mark, and now it's been 1 year since the surgery, and he has perforated his stomach. And so
What does that mean?
Basically, there's holes in the surgical lining of his stomach, and so
Holy
he's literally,
shit.
when he eats, he's dumping stomach juices and food.
So he's almost worse
potentially,
off.
right? So like the chances of him dying any day is like happening, and I'm learning from him. And I'm like, why are you doing that? He goes, I don't know.
Listen to that. The doctor says that because of the weight loss surgery, if you smoke again, you will die. The guy doesn't care. He can't stop smoking. He knows it's bad for him, but he still can't stop. Knowing that cigarettes put holes in his stomach does nothing, even though it's the right answer to keep him from dying. The reason this smoker can't stop smoking is because he's using that to manage negative emotions. Until he does some thinking and figures out what causes those negative emotions and then learns healthy ways to manage them, he is going to keep smoking uncontrollably.
One thing I've learned about addiction is that the addiction itself usually isn't the real problem. The real question is, why did the addiction start in the first place? For many people, stress is a main factor, specifically cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Cortisol gets released when we're afraid, stressed, overwhelmed, or constantly living in fight or flight mode. A lot of us have spent our entire lives that way. When you grow up online in the digital age, many people have spent years under constant stress. And when those stress hormones become your normal state, addictions can become a coping mechanism. On this channel, we talk a lot about food addiction because I think it's one of the most common addictions in America. The only addiction I think truly rivals it in 2026 is internet addiction. Identifying your stressors and learning how to manage them is one of the first steps towards healing. I've struggled with anxiety my entire life. Much of it is connected to my upbringing. Learning what triggers those feelings has helped me enormously. The dopamine rush from addictive behaviors feels good in the moment. The serotonin hit feels good in the moment, but it's temporary. Whatever comfort you're getting isn't solving the underlying problem. And in the long run, most addictions only make things worse.
Unfortunately for him, it sounds like he was too late. But it's the same thing with food. Some sort of negative stress is occurring in your life, You don't like the negativity, so you use food to manage that emotion. Until you deal with the source of that negativity, all of your diets will fail long term. The way you start figuring some of this stuff out is by going to things like Overeaters Anonymous or by going to therapy. It's not a food problem, it's an emotions problem. The real evil here is that there are a whole slew of psychological problems that the fat acceptance movement is telling people to ignore. For example, a common reason that women become morbidly obese is because they were molested as children. They got sexual attention as children that they didn't want, so their brain says, how can I make it so that I never get unwanted attention again? I know, I'll overeat. The overeating solves two problems. It helps them avoid their memories of their past trauma by numbing the negative emotions, and it prevents the trauma from happening. So great, both problems are solved. People come to these conclusions because they fix the problem and they're effective. They aren't the best way of solving the problem, but they do work.
This part is really sad. A lot of people don't realize how common it is for someone to use overeating as a way of making themselves less attractive. Whether it's consciously or unconsciously, it can be a protective mechanism. I also want to touch on something I've observed regarding some people who identify as non-binary. My personal opinion is that for some individuals, especially some females, part of the appeal may involve distancing themselves from traditional expectations around attractiveness and gender. Now, to be clear, I view non-binary identities and transgender identities as separate discussions. I don't think that they're always fighting for the same goals, and I think they often get grouped together when they shouldn't be. When it comes to trans people specifically, the relationship between identity, trauma, and attraction is much more complicated than that. But I did want to touch on the non-binary portion.
So their obesity could be for that reason, or a number of psychological problems. It can even be a suicidal wish, like it was in Boogie's case.
I think I was just trying to eat to die. I was just suicidal. And I'm like,
It's
they would tell me
distracting.
when I was like 25, they'd be like, if you keep eating the way you eat, you'll be dead at 30. And I'd be like, awesome, there's a buffet on the way home. So I'm going to fucking hit that shit
Really?
because I would like to be
You
dead.
were that conscious about
Yeah,
it.
I was like straight up. I was like, that's awesome news. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate you. I'll see if I can get that done.
I hate to admit that Boogie and I have anything in common after some of the shit that's come up over the years, but when I was in high school, I was extremely depressed. I smoked a lot, and every time I finished a cigarette, I'd tell myself, that's another 7 minutes off my life. And then I'd light another one. At that point in my life, shortening my lifespan actually felt comforting. As dark as it sounds, I think a lot of people struggling with addiction understand that feeling. Sometimes the self-destruction is part of the appeal. And I think that says something profound about the human condition.
Boogie is not the only one to have ideas like this. Here is another fat acceptance feminist like the ones from before, glorifying the fact that she doesn't care about her life.
46. I'm like not worried about not living a full life. I've already lived a lot of life, trust me. And if I were to die tomorrow, I wouldn't regret it.
She's 46. That's only a bit more than halfway done with her life, and she already wants to die. Is that mentally healthy? She sounds like she has just given up.
Right, but you see, I would respect you more with respect to you if I saw you doing a fitness campaign where you tried to lose 100 pounds. Why wouldn't you aspire to do that?
Because that's not going to work. It's not going to work for me. Diets are 95% failure rate. Why would I do something that's going to fail?
Yeah, diets have a 95% failure rate, so why bother trying to eat healthy? You would think that when it comes to saving your own life, you would try to figure out why people on those diets are failing to see if you can work past it. But no, instead, this is just the shape of my body, and there's nothing I can do about it.
My cats are being crazy downstairs, I can tell. It's approaching the witching hour. I got a locking.
Not to mention how inconsiderate that is to the rest of the population who are paying your medical bills. They are either paying extra because of you through socialized medicine, or they are paying extra because of you through increased insurance rates. It costs way more to take care of an obese person in a hospital than it does a thin person. They require things like expensive special double-wide KCI beds. Their skin folds have to be washed frequently or they will get an infection. And they have to be moved more frequently than other patients so they don't get bed sores. Speaking of which, moving fat people is a very common cause of injury to nurses. My mother is a nurse, and she has been injured so many times from moving 800-pound obese people that her shoulder is permanently damaged.
I actually come from a family of nurses. My grandmother was a nurse. My mother earned her doctorate in nursing. Because of that, I've seen firsthand how difficult healthcare work can be. I've watched friends and coworkers of my mom leave the profession because they suffered injuries while caring for severely obese patients. The risk becomes even higher when hospitals are understaffed, which is unfortunately common. People end up attempting lifts or transfers they shouldn't be doing alone, and then pay for it with their health, and it's honestly pretty heartbreaking.
Obesity is not a wonderful thing. But maybe this will help. Before I end this video, allow me to introduce to you David Goggins. David Goggins is a guy who went through 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks in 1 year. He did 4,000 pull-ups in 17 hours, and most impressively, he ran 101 miles in 19 hours with 0 conditioning. Then, 2 weeks later, after destroying his body in the 100-mile run, he ran the Las Vegas Marathon in 3 hours and 8 minutes. This guy has an incredible amount of mental resolve. The best part is, though, that he was a complete loser at 24 before he started. He was a victim of severe child abuse, he was a liar, he was a cheater, and an all-around terrible guy. One thing you hear a lot from what causes motivated people to do amazing things like lose an incredible amount of weight is that they become completely disgusted with how they are. They start to hate the things that make them weak.
I had 2 options. To either be that 300-pound guy who sprayed for cockroaches and made $1,000 a month, and at 24 years old, knowing when I'm 50 fucking years old, I can reflect on this and think about what guy I never became, or I can totally just sack it up and fail and fail and fail until I succeed. So I started calling recruiters up. I said, I'm going to go be a fucking Navy SEAL.
No, I don't think anybody can become a Navy SEAL. But I understand the point he's trying to make. Finding a form of exercise that works for you is important. There are countless ways to become active. The challenge is finding something you'll actually stick with. Then he asks, are you going to be a loser and never do anything difficult? And honestly, I've been trying. The thing that tends to stop me isn't laziness, it's depression. For me, the biggest struggle is momentum. If I start cleaning, I need to finish cleaning. If I stop halfway through and sit down, the second half probably isn't getting done. I know it's not healthy. I know people say you should pace yourself, but my brain doesn't seem to work that way. I suspect ADHD plays a role too. Anyway, that turned into quite the tangent about me. Moving on.
Which are you going to be? Are you going to be a loser because you never want to do anything difficult? Or are you going to be an adult and actually start trying? Listen to this, though. David Goggins called every recruiter imaginable, and all of them said no because he was too fat until he called the reserves. They said he had to lose 106 pounds to join, and he said, fuck that, and quit.
So I tried to get in the reserves. And I called this guy named Steven Salgio, recruiter, up. And he said, hey, come on in. He saw me, put me through the weight standard, all this other stuff. And to get into the class I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. So I was like, fuck that, I can't do that. I grabbed my chocolate milkshake and went back to Ecolab. I'm going back to work, man. This is my life.
His job was at a pest control company, and the next night he went back to work and found the motherload of cockroaches. He got disgusted by his job, set his equipment down, and then quit.
What it was, and it's kind of funny, I was obsessed with Rocky. Rocky 1 in particular. And when I was a kid, I come home every day and I watched this fucking show, Rocky. And I would fast forward with the little VHS tapes to round 14. When Apollo Creed beat the fucking shit out of Rocky, beat the shit out of him, he kept fighting. He was a dumb fighter, couldn't read, that was me. Couldn't read, couldn't write, just punchy, everything about him. And Rocky Apollo beat the shit out of him. He was in that corner and everybody was saying, stay the fuck down. And him getting up, Apollo Creed raised his arms up in the fucking air, turned around, thought he won the fight. He turns around and sees this guy getting up, and it was the face of Apollo Creed that changed my life. The face of Apollo Creed. It was like, just by that motherfucker getting up, not winning, just by him getting the fuck up, Apollo Creed was champ. He was the best. Rocky had taken his soul.
Hero stories are very powerful. That's why we've been telling them for thousands of years.
Recently, I rewatched Demon Slayer Mugen Train. I was absolutely crying my eyes out by the end. I haven't seen the newest movie yet, so please don't spoil anything. But after finishing the Hashira training arc, certain moments in Mugen Train hit so much harder than they did the first time, especially the ending. And I just wanted to share some of my favorite Rengoku quotes because he's definitely one of my heroes.
Taste it! Taste it! Taste it!
There's no wonder he died. He is worthless! A person's potential is determined the day they're born.
Dry your eyes and look ahead. You may feel like digging your heels in, but the flow of time waits for no one. It won't patiently stand by as you grieve.
Both growing old, passing away, these are things that make being human beautiful. Rising scorching sun!
If you are feeling disheartened, that you are somehow not enough, set your heart ablaze.
Overcome your limits! I am the Flame Hashira! Kyojuro Rengoku! The ninth form! Rengoku!
Kyojuro?
Yes, what is it, Mother?
Do you know why it is? You were born with greater strength than so many others. It is so that you can protect the weak. Having such a strong, gentle child was a true blessing.
Mother, it was I who was blessed to have been born to such a woman as you!
I'm so proud of you, my son.
Your brain knows what's wrong with you. When you can't put it into words, your brain will cause you to idolize people who have solved the same problem that you have. That being said, pay attention to the people you look up to or the heroes you like when you watch TV or read books. I bet those people have problems that are similar to yours, and their story describes how they solved it. Rocky was a loser. He was 30. He lived in a shitty apartment in the bad part of town. He failed his dreams to become a professional boxer, but when he finally gets a shot at being a professional boxer, he succeeds because he never gives up, even though he lost the fight with Apollo. David Goggins was able to figure out the answer to his problems because of that story. David was a guy who quit at everything, who became someone who quits at nothing. He took it to the extreme, and now he's doing all kinds of ridiculous things. Even though he has no idea what he's doing, he jumps in and figures it out. He isn't lying around waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. Start now and figure it out as you go. Failures wait to be successful. Successful people jump in and deal with the problems as they come.
I was a fucking pathetic motherfucker, man. People cannot say that to themselves. We have to choose these great fucking magical words that that make people feel good. Tell yourself the truth. If someone calls you fucking fat, they may be bullying you, but you might be fucking fat. Someone calls you dumb, it's mean, but you might be fucking dumb. It's life, man. Take it for what it's worth and change it.
For at least 6 years now, I've wanted to become a YouTuber. I wasn't planning on being a VTuber. For a long time, I was skeptical because so much of the culture I felt like was overly parasocial. Then I discovered Powder. Seeing her content completely changed my perspective on what VTubing could be. It showed me that there's room for people who want to create thoughtful content instead of just chasing attention. For years, I've had things I wanted to say, ideas I wanted to share, but I was scared. Scared of being seen, scared of being judged, scared of putting my work out there. That fear hasn't completely gone away, but this time it feels different. This time I'm committed because this is what I want to do. I want to be a YouTuber. And I've realized that it isn't about perfection. It's about creating something. It's about sharing your voice. So thank you for 420 subs. It really means a lot and makes me feel like I'm not alone. Thanks so much if you made it to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.
I've heard it 1,000 times before, and it's just not that